Alright, so this is part 3 of the Deathstroke video. I'm going to try to get this helmet done. Usually it doesn't take this long to do a helmet. I mean, honestly, it'd probably take you maybe 4 to 5 hours to cut out your templates, lay it down on something, and get something rolling. But it's different when you're trying to video and you have a house full of monsters, little children, and dogs. But anyways, I do have some of the stuff put together because I am going to show you the assembly part. How I look at the 3D model. Like I said, this is how I view things. So whatever works for you, please run with it, use it. First thing I'm going to start with, of course, is what I see with the templates when I actually start gluing and what kind of angles I'm looking for. A good thing about this helmet is there's a lot of overlaps that you do on this, so there's not a lot of angles that you actually have to cut and put together. So it should be really quick after you get your templates out, and I'll show you some of the stuff that actually goes into it and hopefully make some really nice pieces, and you'll have a Deathstroke helmet when you're done. Alright, when I start assembling, I have what my final piece should look like. Of course, I have the Pepper program up, and I usually have an image of what I'm actually going after, so I know I'm capturing whatever curves I'm looking at and whatever angles. The first thing I usually do is if you go under 3D menu and go under View Setup, you can actually get rid of all those openings that you see, which these gaps right here, and it says Size of Opening. You can modify those and turn it down. All you got to do is drag it over there, and now all of a sudden there's your seams. And so when you put it together, basically you should have the same type of seams. You aren't going to have those openings for it. But the reason I have the computer pulled up is because I wanted to show you some of the pieces for the overlaps. This one, for instance, on the actual faceplate, when we looked at those lines that JF left, all these little flaps right there, it shows the lip. That means that piece is going to be laying on top. So when I threw this together, sure enough, I'm trying to look at the model and look at how it's actually supposed to look on the helmet. So it gives you an idea. It's almost like building Legos. You want to see the exact same thing whenever you put this together. So if you use thicker foam, it might be something where you cut off those lips and you actually lay the edges in. But you want to match it to the best of your ability. One of the things that if you're new to Pepakura, you have all these light blue and dark blue lines. I want to say that's set up by default. The blue lines mean your angles are... The reason I got the back side of the helmet up is because some stuff differs on the actual file versus this, and that's why I'm saying, you know, definitely use it as a guide. But your large pieces that you have, there's 2 large pieces that make the back side of the helmet. On the picture itself, there's a line which is hard to see on here that actually keeps on going. So there's a hard angle right there that we're going to have to create. And of course on here we don't have that. So what I did is on both of these pieces, I just followed that line going all the way down. So I actually made it, I did the underscore to where the line is going to continue down, so it's going to look just like the helmet on Justice, at least from the back side, so it's going to be fully put together. The piece I'm actually going to work on, I have the large top piece which is highlighted right now, and so I'm going to show you how to actually create that one. I already did the bottom piece, and like I said, on the bottom we want this line to go all the way through, which was the one that you saw. So we're going to have to do the same one with the top one, and I'll show you how I look at the angles and what I do to actually get that type of fold so it's round, just kind of like on the image, because you want to recreate what you're actually seeing. Here's the middle of the helmet. Like I said, I underscored that line so I'll have a continuous motion going all the way through. But on the file itself, where we're going to have to modify what we need to, all these are going to join together and of course make your curves. On the picture, this middle part is going to have just a slight angle. These 2 right here, which I'm going off the picture and the program, are going to have to meet and just make a rounded edge. And then this last one is where you're going to have that hard angle. So what we're going to do is actually corner that off and complete that too. And I'll show you each one of those stages that I do on those also. What I'm going to start with, I usually go out and work my way in. So I'm going to start with the hard angle first, which when you look at the file and you look at the example, it's not a 90 degree, it just has a slight angle to it. So what I'm going to do is I just trim one side to actually give it that slant. And all I use is a pair of kitty scissors, and then I use a Dremel. And these cut through foam so well and they stay sharp. I've never had to sharpen these one bit, and they've been through everything. So needless to say, steal some kid scissors. So what you do is you just cut your angle for how deep you want it. So I want a hard angle, so I'm actually going at it at a deep cut. Scrap. And now it's going to have a rough edge, which that's where the rotary tool comes in. I just use one of the barrel sanders. And what I do is when I Dremel, I go towards whatever direction. If there's a corner right here, I go towards it, because if you go the other way, say if I went this way, when I come up, this tool is spinning clockwise. So when it comes to here, it's going to grab that and pull it under. And foam is not forgiving, so when you goof up on your edges, if you can't hide it, you're going to have just a little flux on there. So I always go towards whatever motion, so it's not going to pull it away from me. So now when I glue, there's the edge after I Dremel. When it comes together, it's going to make a nice seal. And it's going to give me the angle that I need for it. Okay, so then we move on to the second part. This piece was just supposed to be rounded. And what I used to do, which I did on the Guyver's shoulders, which you saw, I actually notched it the same way I did this, because in my mind I was thinking of Pepakura, and you don't have to do that. The program makes it to where it's going to give you that ball effect. So all I usually do is I take off just the bottom and I leave the top flat, but I Dremel just the bottom, so that way when I do put it together, stuff's not going to hit and it'll allow it to give it the fold, but the top is still going to be one piece. So I'll show you what the lip looks like, because I can't explain it, but I do it. So that's how it is. I just take off the bottom corner. I don't go all the way up to the top, because it's going to make that seam, it's going to give it the rounded effect that you're looking for. Now the middle, since we don't have to have it at like a right angle or a hard angle like the end, you can either probably just take the Dremel and just take it straight to it and just lightly angle it. So now when that piece comes together, it's going to give just a slight rounded curve, just like the picture. So I guess I'm going to show you how to glue these, which it's kind of hard with this wonderful little camera. But I always start at the corners first. And when I glue, I do the top half of whatever section I'm working on. And what I do is I just pull it up until they meet. And that way I don't have all the glues coming out from the bottom and not from the top. So glue the top half and pull it up. If you do have any come out, just wipe it off, and then your seal is going to look good. But I always start with the bottom corner, and then I come up here. And JF actually posted on that as soon as he unfolded a Loki helmet to make sure all the edges fold up, because I think it's 3 different parts. So that's where I learned how to do it. But so glue the top half. Put them together, go up with it, and then just hold. I recommend JF on his long tutorial, I think he says to do about every 2 to 3 inches. It's a good estimate for what you should do, but what you should also do is do what you can control with your glue gun. So if there's an angle right here and it's a bunch of weird patterns, just do a little bit at a time. You want it to look good. So now I know the bottom meets, I know the top meets, and then I just work on the center. Glue at the top, and just pull them up. So when you get done with it, it should look like the back piece because one's just larger than the other. So here's the hard angle that we did, and this was just cutting one side. And there's all the glue splatters that came out from me pulling it under. The middle, I just trimmed that bottom so it gives it the round. It's not like the Guyver where you see the hard corners because you did it. So that's what keeps everything round. The program does it for you. So we're going to work on the ears. To get this, you do have to cut both sides for the round angle. So instead of just trimming one side with a deep cut, you actually have to do both of them, wrap it around. This one also had the undercut that actually went the other direction. And what you do is you pull it up, put glue in there, and just hold it up, and then it'll stay. So I'll show you how to do that one. So I know all this is going to have to come together. And this is shown on that program, so make sure you watch it. And there's one cut. The other one, what I do is just wrap it around, look to see where it finishes it off, and I cut the other ring. Drill. And so now, when this comes together, ta-da! Okay, so the face mask is the other piece. On the program itself, it actually has a slight curve up front, which when you did your underscores, that's why that piece was there, so it's actually going to curve in. So just like the hard angle, all I'm going to do is just a light cut right here, so when this wedges together, that's going to be there. Another piece is right here. On the program, it's an angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop one side of it and put it together. The top part that's supposed to come in, your underscores, all you got to do is glue this stuff in and hold it, and you will get those undercuts. And you want to refer to your model, that way you know that how deep you need to cut these and what angle, so it actually flows like it's supposed to compared to your picture. And there it is. So this should be almost how your final piece looks, depending on what you do with it. Of course, you can add the details to how you see fit, but some of the stuff I did on the nose, I actually chopped off that top. The Dremel, I used it to round off those edges for the circles, because on the image it looks like it is. Everything else is cut lines. It's straight off the mat how it should be. But since it's a lot of overlapping, this helmet is really easy to build after you get your templates cut out. The backside, of course, that's how the one continuous looks, which it'll look good painted, I promise. The other thing is the size of it. The Winter has a bigger head than me, and of course the other thing is, on mine I have a split up the back. That way when I put it on, it unfolds, and I put it on there. I would recommend doing a two-piece. That way it fits your face better. There is a couple casts of this. Somebody did the 3D model, started printing the stuff out and making recast of it. But it's big because it's supposed to fit over your head without any adjustments. So there you have it. This total, you probably got about, at this stage, maybe $5 invested out of all the foam, glue sticks, whatever you want, and then all it comes down to is paint, how you treat your foam, anything else if you want to harden it up, but that's up to you. So if you have any questions, please post them online. I'll try to answer what I can, but hopefully you get a kick out of it, start building some stuff, start saving some money, and that way you can afford some cool stuff. Thanks for watching.